What's going on, guys? Supersavage789 here, bringing you guys a video. Today we're doing What If Sabrina Was Ash's Sister, Part 3. Now we're not going to do a recap because this video is already going to be a really long one, so we're just going to have to jump straight into it. There's a playlist on the channel if you want to catch up, and I advise that you do. It's a pretty good series. And yeah, let's just hop straight into it. The trio would begin to embark on their journey. We'd see some comedic scenes of Haunter interacting with Mewtwo, as well as Psyduck. Mewtwo would be rather skeptical of Ash and Sabrina, so he doesn't really engage in social interaction, choosing to sleep away from them and simply travelling with them when he has to. The rest of them would be eating, with Mewtwo standing in the trees keeping guard. His stomach would growl quite loud, with the rest of them hearing it. Ash tries to offer him some food, with Mewtwo rejecting it, choosing to fly off in search of his own food. The gang would continue travelling and arrive at Pallet Town, confusing Sabrina. Ash explains how the legendary Professor Oak lives here, so he wants to visit him. He assures Mewtwo this guy is the nicest when it comes to Pokemon, making Mewtwo scoff. They arrive, where Ash tries to introduce himself. Oak would immediately ignore him though, rushing over to admire Mewtwo, which leads to it flinging Oak away comedically. After recovering, Oak would be socializing with Ash and Sabrina, while Mewtwo goes to hang out in the fields behind the lab. Ash explains how they found Mewtwo, with him finding it truly remarkable. Seeing a Pokemon so cold makes Oak upset. He'd be talking to Ash, and realizes that he's a pretty good trainer, so he'd give Ash a Pokedex, telling him that he's lucky he had one spare. Ash would nearly burst out into tears as he thanks Professor Oak. Meanwhile, Mewtwo would be interacting with the Pokemon at the lab. Seeing so many Pokemon essentially enslaved would make Mewtwo initially angry. After going around though, socializing with the Pokemon, he realizes that they all love Oak and their trainers. Oak would then approach Mewtwo, asking him how his stay is at the lab. Mewtwo mentions how he finds Oak truly remarkable, able to keep all these Pokemon happy. The last time he saw so many Pokemon held by one trainer, none were happy. Oak states how he wishes this was the case, however one of his Pokemon here is truly unhappy. A Pikachu that shocks any trainer he tries to give it to. He then asks Mewtwo if he'd be willing to take it with him. Mewtwo is taken back by this request, but would agree to this. So Mewtwo takes Pikachu with him, while the rest continue on their quest. Team Rocket would also attack the lab and get bodied by numerous Pokemon. Mewtwo would be doing his best to make Pikachu open up. We get to see him struggling to do so due to Pikachu hating everyone. Ash and Sabrina would be helping, and ultimately they'd be able to allow Mewtwo to open up enough and befriend Pikachu. It allows Mewtwo to better open up to the gang. They then continue going where a flock of Sparrow try to attack them. Pikachu and Mewtwo take care of it though and defeats them. They then pass through Viridian again, where they see the gym still desolate. They enter Viridian Forest, and, after another run-in with Team Rocket, they encounter a Bug Samurai, who challenges Ash to a battle. Ash uses Bulbasaur and Sparrow, and ultimately wins with little difficulty. Team Rocket shows up, and then gets bopped. They then arrive in Pewter, and head straight to the gym. Sabrina mentioned how the gym leader here is called Brock, and he is not to be messed with. Ash takes this as a challenge and rushes into the gym, declaring to Brock that he demands a battle. The gym leader says, however, that if he's looking for Brock, he won't find him here. He's Brock's father, Flint. His son left with a green-haired trainer and a former Pokédex student to follow his dream. Ash thinks that is pretty cool. Nevertheless, he has a battle to get to. Flint sends out his Geodude and Ash sends out his Squirtle. Using Water Gun, Ash is able to successfully defeat Geodude. Flint then sends out his Rhyhorn. While Squirtle has a type advantage, it doesn't measure up to the strength of Rhyhorn. Ultimately, Squirtle is defeated after a fissure takes it down, so Ash would send in Haunter. This allows him to take the win, as Haunter can put Rhyhorn to sleep and use range attacks to defeat it without ever getting hit, so Ash would successfully get the Boulder Badge. The gang moves through Mount Moon after this. The Moon's Stone would already be sealed off, so they simply continue moving, never running into the Clefairy and Clefable there. So they simply arrive at Cerulean City Gym after battling Team Rocket. Ash then challenges the gym. Using Sparrow and Haunter, Ash is able to defeat whatever water Pokemon the Cerulean gym leaders likely had, and so Ash should also get the Cascade Badge. They then move along. They end up walking past a desolate gym, as well as Poketech, without any real hassle. Team Rocket attacks a couple times, but nothing new there. They then end up encountering an Oddish, which Ash tries to catch. Before he can, a Bulbasaur would come out and stop him. They end up continuing along, where they come across Melanie's garden, as well as her Bulbasaur. Mewtwo would be rather impressed by what she's accomplished here. Ash sends out his Bulbasaur to socialize with the other one, where the duo hits it off. As they talk though, both of their bulbs begin to shimmer. Using his Pokedex, Ash learns that it is the Bulbasaur's evolution ritual, which will soon begin. So he offers to take Melanie and her Bulbasaur to participate. She agrees, and so the gang all teleport back to the mysterious garden for the ritual. The ritual would soon begin, with Ash's Bulbasaur evolving into an Ivysaur. As for Melanie's, it'd be too prideful in who it is, and simply doesn't evolve. Ash and Ivysaur then defend its decision from the other Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur. They all return to Melanie's home to find Team Rocket have stolen the rest of the Pokemon. So Ivysaur and Bulbasaur use a combined Solar Beam and defeat Team Rocket. The gang continue moving after this. They run into a trainer named Damien, who Mewtwo would ultimately beat up due to how he treats Pokemon. They come across the rest of the Squirtle Squad and say hi as they move along. They come across Bill, who Mewtwo would also like. They then ultimately end up arriving at Surge's gym. Seeing how Surge treats Pokemon angers Mewtwo. He wishes to battle Surge, but he can sense how fired up Pikachu is to battle. Unfortunately though, since he is a Pokemon, he can't initiate the gym battle. So he asks Ash to use Pikachu for the fight. Ash agrees, and will battle Surge's Raichu with Pikachu. Unfortunately, Pikachu still gets bodied, and then refuses to evolve, and Ash uses it again to defeat Raichu, awarding him his final badge being the Thunder Badge. After getting all 8 badges, Ash and Sabrina decide to return home to go relax and wait for the League. Mewtwo would also want to come along as he is curious to see what their parents are like. They encounter nothing that gets in their way except for Team Rocket a couple times. They then arrive at the gym, realizing that there is a battle taking place. Ash would run ahead to go watch, making Sabrina smile. He peers through the door, sees his dad using his Tauros to battle a Sandshrew. He mentions that his Tauros should easily win, but is shocked when the Sandshrew bodies. Ash's dad recalls the Tauros and sends out Ash's Muk. He says that Muk has gotta win this one, right? Unfortunately, he is wrong, as Sandshrew also wins that. The trainer then gets his Marsh badge. Ash walks in and meets the trainer who defeated 2 of his Pokemon. He reveals his name is AJ and shakes Ash's hand. He also introduces him to his companions, Joe and Brock. Joe would be holding a Togepi as well. The 2 trainers reveal that they will be competing in the league and that they hope to see Ash there, who agrees. They then leave, leaving Ash to realize that he's outmatched here. So he'd begin to train himself and his Pokemon to prepare for the league. We'd get an episode here as well where Ash has to help his father capture his own Pokemon. He takes them to Lavender Town, where Haunter reunites with his friends. Ash's dad then catches that Ghastly and Gengar to use in the gym. The gang so head to meet Bruno, where Mewtwo single-handedly saves the massive Onix by removing the Sandslash from it. Bruno states how he's going to catch the Onix, however clearly he isn't worthy. Maybe Mewtwo should catch it. Mewtwo states how it cannot catch a Pokemon as it is one, however Bruno dismisses that notion. Pokemon trainers don't have to be human, they just have to have a good heart. He then hands Mewtwo the Pokeball, who asks Onix to join him. Onix would agree, and so Mewtwo adds Onix to his party. The trio would then begin to head to the Pokemon League. Since they'd be taking a different path, they don't even encounter a Toshi, so it means that Jessie would successfully take the badges and be allowed into the league. She, however, would need 6 Pokemon to use. Including James's Pokemon and Meowth, that makes 5, so they need 1 more. She finds Toshi's Marowak and recruits it. While it's reluctant, it agrees to participate with Jessie, as at least then it can fulfill its dream. AJ and Joe would also show up to the league, where they enter as well. It means that the whole thing, the flame, goes off without a hitch, transitioning into round 1. The first match Ash has would be on the water field. Without ever catching Krabby, Ash immediately resorts to using Squirtle against his opponent's Exeggutor. In an upset, Squirtle will be able to defeat his opponent, as well as his opponent's Seadra. The Golbat, however, is able to take Squirtle down. So Ash should use his Ivysaur, where he finishes the fight. In the next match, Ash should be up against Joe. Joe would start up with his Weeping Bell, which Ash retorts using his Rhyhorn. Despite the type disadvantage, Rhyhorn is able to use the rocky terrain to its advantage. Weeping Bell's Razor Leaf is an issue, but thanks to Horn Drill, Rhyhorn is able to take down the Weeping Bell. Joe recalls his Weeping Bell, and then sends out a Farfetch'd. In a comedic scene, Rhyhorn underestimates Farfetch'd, allowing it to walk up to the beast and hit it dead on the horn, knocking it out. Ash reaches to his belt to grab a Pokeball, but that's when Primeape lets itself out of the ball. So Primeape would battle the Farfetch'd. It begins using Thrash, leveling out the rocky terrain as it chases Farfetch'd around the arena. Inevitably, Farfetch'd would be defeated, probably from fear before Primeape could even touch it. Joe would begin to panic as he realizes he's about to lose. Togepi would become determined to help, which Joe is nervous about. The duo both become determined to win, and so Togepi tries to fight Primeape. Primeape would take the opportunity to mentor Togepi, similar to Vegeta and Kaba in Dragon Ball. So while everyone else is worried about Primeape's violent methods, it proves to be effective when Togepi evolves into Togetic. Using Razor Wind, Togetic is able to defeat Primeape, who faints with a smile on its face. Ash then sends out Squirtle, who defeats Togetic. It's a pretty intense battle that is down to the wire, but ultimately Squirtle wins, as does Ash. After a brief battle with Team Rocket, Ash would have his third battle, where he'd come out on top thanks to Haunter. In the final preliminary match, Ash would sweep his opponent's entire team thanks to Ivysaur. As for other opponents, Jesse and AJ would both manage to make it through the preliminaries as well. Ash would meet Richie, and they bond before they find out they have to battle next. Thanks to Mewtwo and Sabrina being able to teleport, Ash gets away from Team Rocket quicker and is on time. Richie would lead with his Butterfree, and Ash uses his Squirtle, while Squirtle manages to win thanks to not being tired. Richie's Pikachu would manage to finish off Squirtle though, so Ash sends out Spearow. Spearow would be losing badly due to Pikachu having the type advantage, as well as thanks to its immense speed, so Spearow would be badly damaged. Before it faints though, it begins to glow and ultimately evolves into Fearow. Thanks to this, Ash is able to defeat Richie's Pikachu as well as his Charmander, which means this version of Ash actually goes further than the one in canon. Jessie and AJ would also battle here. His Sandshrew would body both Arbok and Weezing, meaning she has to rely on Marowak. It does quite well until Otoshi appears in the crowd. It calls out to Marowak that it's sorry and that it wants it back, which makes Marowak emotional. So it abandons Jessie and reunites with its trainer, meaning she forfeits her match and AJ moves on. Ash and AJ would be set to fight each other in the next battle, so we'll just skip straight to that. AJ leads with Raticate, and Ash sends out Tauros. Thanks to Tauros' strength, this fight allows Ash to take an early advantage. It's clear that AJ is a good trainer though, it's just with Raticate, his Tauros is on its last legs. After Raticate faints, AJ sends out Pidgeot. Ash looks at the Pidgeot, feeling as if he knows it, but quickly put those feelings to bed. Ultimately, Tauros is put down, so Ash has to send out a next Pokemon. He chooses Fearow, meaning we get an aerial battle. The fight is intense, but it's clear that Pidgeot is stronger. Thanks to the damage Tauros put on it though, it allows for Fearow to exploit that and leads to a double knockout. Ash sends out his Haunter, and AJ sends out his Butterfree. Butterfree uses Sleep Powder, and Haunter falls asleep. It's revealed that it was playing a prank as he off-guards Butterfree with his Shadow Ball, allowing it to take the win. AJ then sends out its Beedrill. It's quite ferocious, but Haunter is able to land Hypnosis onto it, which makes it falter and allows Haunter to also defeat that. Ash begins to celebrate, but the worst is yet to come. AJ sends out his Sandshrew, which worries Ash. He tells Haunter to keep its head in the game, but Haunter is unable to. It tries to be a jokester, which allows Sandshrew to defeat it, ignoring its practical jokes as it's determined on winning. Ash sends out a Squirtle and makes it use Water Gun, which keeps Sandshrew on the defensive, forcing it to maneuver around the arena a lot. When Squirtle uses Skull Bash, Sandshrew moves in and uses Fissure that allows it to defeat Squirtle. Ash then recalls Squirtle and sends out Ivysaur. He manages to land a Leech Seed onto Sandshrew, but he uses Defense Kill to make it null and void. Ivysaur then uses Vine Whip and grabs Sandshrew, thrashing it about. Sandshrew would take the opportunity to use Dig during this, dragging Ivysaur underground and pulling it along. When Ivysaur is flung out, it's fainted. Ash then sends out his final Pokemon, which is Primeape. It's a tough match, but when Primeape uses Thrash, it allows it to finally put down the Sandshrew. AJ then sends out his final Pokemon, which is Charizard. He saved his Pokemon from the rain, and now he needs it to listen. Charizard won't obey AJ as it lounges about. Before the referee can call the match though, Primeape would hit Charizard. Its rage is built up too much to stop now. So Charizard stands up and attacks Primeape, defeating it. AJ will then go on to win the league, to Ash's dismay. After this, the gang celebrate at Oaks. Ash and Sabrina are told about the Orange Islands and are given the GS ball where they agree to go. Mewtwo tells them all that from traveling with them, he finally understands what they meant. So he's going to leave them to go and help Pokemon around the world to make sure there aren't any bad trainers left. Mewtwo and Pikachu then wave goodbye as they fly away from the gang, with Mewtwo leaving Ash his Onix. This is going to end off the series for right now. If you enjoyed this series and want to see it continue, hit the like button and let me know down below. If you like Pokemon What Ifs, leave some down below as well. It's nice to hear you guys' suggestions. And yeah, bye!